In this video, I'm looking at this box and why I drug out this thing that I don't really like to get this. Let's get it. What's cracking, audio fans? It's David here from Prime Audio Reviews, and this guy is an impedance adapter, and the reason I pulled that out, of course, was so I could use it here with the AS16 Pro. Now, let me tell you about the Pro before I explain this further. You probably know already. The price is $55 and each earpiece has 8 balanced armatures per side for a total of 16. So it's got 4 treble drivers, it's got 2 for the mids and 2 for the bass. As per usual, we get the standard KZ cable, which is serviceable but not great, but you know, it's actually not too bad. It handles all right. Let's have a closer look at these IEMs. There they are. They're a little bit large. They're not huge, but they're kind of on the big side. They look pretty nice, I reckon. I reckon they look not too bad at all. Available in cyan and black. And just like the original AS16, I think from memory, it's got this sort of foam filling inside the shell, packed around all the components, and you can see some of the balanced armature drivers inside there. You've got your standard 2-pin connectors there. In terms of comfort, these are not too bad at all. They are big, but yeah, the shape of them is quite alright. The nozzles are pretty long, so if you don't like long nozzles, then you won't get along well with these ones. Overall, I think for the price, $55, the build quality is pretty good, and they look pretty nice too. Okay, so back to this. This is an impedance adapter, and the reason I'm using that and several other people use that is because the AS16 Pro is a very sensitive IEM, and the sound signature can change somewhat depending on your source. So without the adapter, you get a bit of a rise in the upper mid-range around 1 to 2 kilohertz. That area kind of leaps forward, and some people find that a little bit intense to listen to. That brings vocals right to the forefront, very intimate and upfront. And I found that using this impedance adapter, I don't know the specifics of it. All I know it is an impedance adapter. I don't know how many ohms, but yeah, I find that using this, it just kind of calms the sound of the AS16 Pro, and on top of that, it gives you a finer volume control as well. Because it's a bit harder to drive using this, it gives you a little bit more leeway when you're adjusting the volume, or if you've got a DAC or something that uses steps instead of a volume knob, the jump between each number of volume output is not as drastic. But anyway, with that stuff out of the way, let's put that aside. We'll talk about how the sound. Now, the AS16 Pro has a balanced sound that allows the bass, the mids, and the treble all to play nicely together on an even playing field. No particular band is given preference over the others. The tonality is on the warmer side of neutral, but it's countered nicely by some nice clear mids and a fairly crisp treble. Compared to the original AS16, the Pro model here sounds more rounded, complete, and a bit more, in my opinion, musical. It sounds more like it's built for enjoying music rather than trying to impress with technical ability, although it does that fairly well too. Let's throw up that graph now, and yeah, have a look at that. So you can see it's got a bit of a tilt towards the bass there, and the bass has a physicality that's a little bit unusual for a budget All-BA IEM, especially a $55 one with a balanced sound signature. Granted, it's not as gritty as a dynamic driver, but nonetheless, it feels full-bodied and adequate. What really surprised me about the bass though is its ability to conjure up some legitimate sub-bass rumble. It doesn't hit you in the chest like a certified bass head IEM or a dynamic driver, but I think it is impressive regardless. Of course, the other benefit of a balanced armature bass is the speed and tightness that you get, and you get that here in spades. Not only that, but there's hardly any bleeding into the mid-range, a benefit of those dedicated sound tubes, which I neglected to mention. There are actually 3 separate sound tubes for, you know, each of the main frequency bands, so that helps somewhat with the instrument separation and with just the overall cleanliness of the sound. Now the mid-range, the mids are forward and spirited. This isn't the typical V-shaped presentation that we're sort of come to expect from KZ, but it's one that's front and center. Vocals are vivid and articulate, close enough to be intimate but not right up in your face. Perhaps what's most endearing about the AS16 Pro's mid-range is the level of cohesion that they have with the bass and the mids. This isn't an effect of simply jamming a large number of drivers into the shells, but it's a calculated, pretty expert tuning. To further impress us, the upper mid-range doesn't get shouty, even when female vocalists like Adele or Ariana Grande start belting. Electric guitars have ample bite with abundant texture, and instruments such as violins, they sound nice and sonorous, yet they're clear, rich and smooth. Furthermore, the tone of the instruments and vocals is more accurate than I would normally expect from a budget IEM. And then lastly, we've got the treble. I would call the treble polite and satiny. For some, it may lack bite or sparkle, but I personally appreciate the smooth, rounded notes. KZ treble, it's often been an area of contention for me, as it often came across as grainy or metallic in prior models. But I'm happy to say that the AS16 Pro's treble is free of stridency and sharpness. However, it's not the most detailed or precise treble, and these IEMs failed to reveal certain micro details that I look out for. This is due in part to dips at around 4 kHz and 6 kHz in the treble, which have been attenuated to create that sort of smooth presentation. While I do miss some of those smaller details, I do appreciate being able to listen to these IEMs for longer periods of time without fatigue. But you know, we've seen many times that it is possible to have your cake and eat it too in regards to detail retrieval. So I hope that future KZ models can improve on that aspect, on the detail aspect. Now, in terms of sound stage and technicalities, despite not having the best treble extension, the soundstage is fairly expansive, lending itself nicely to classical music. The Pro here creates a good sense of scale that's perfect for orchestral works, but of course it benefits all music genres, that larger soundstage which everybody loves. Instrument separation is good, imaging is okay, it's kind of adequate, nothing great. Even if it's a bit underwhelming for something in this price range, it is adequate. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the KZ AS16 Pro, and you know what? I think these are really, really good. I like the tonal balance, the cohesiveness. They're not sharp, but they don't have a grainy treble like some older KZ IEMs have. The only thing I would criticize really about the sound is there is a bit of a lack of detail in it. Even a lot of the cheaper stuff like the KZ DQ6, very good detail retrieval. The CCA CRA, excellent detail retrieval. Of course, the CRA has a leaner presentation than these. It's not as warm, so you would expect a bit better detail, but nonetheless, they're not that warm that you expect all the details to get smoothed over. But apart from that, yeah, pretty good. If you want to get an affordable all-BA IEM to add to your collection, this would be a good place to start, definitely. So that's it. I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Let me know down in the comments what you think about these. I'm sure a lot of people have heard these already. Tell me what you think. Are you a fan of the sound? And yeah, check down in the description below for links to the full written review and all links to my social media channels, Discord, Patreon. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see more content like this in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I'll see you later.